What's up guys? So in this video I want to be giving you an update on MicroStrategy. This company just announced another 900 million debt offering in the form of convertible notes, and of course they will be using the proceeds once again to purchase more Bitcoin. The absolutely brilliant thing about these notes is they have a 0% coupon rate, which means the company will pay zero interest on this debt over the life of the loan. This announcement comes after MicroStrategy already put all of their treasury reserve assets into Bitcoin and then took on 650 million of debt through another convertible note deal and put all of that also into Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin buying machine at this stage. As of right now, MicroStrategy own about 72,000 Bitcoin that they bought for a total purchasing price of about 1.15 billion and for an average price per Bitcoin of about $16,000. As of today, their Bitcoin holdings are valued at over $3.6 billion. That's about 2.4 billion in shareholder value created in just 6 months. And to give you a bit of perspective here, if we go back to this time last year, the total market cap of MicroStrategy as a company was less than half of that. When I first covered this stock back in November, the share price was around $180. And in those 3 months since then, it's ran all the way up to a high of over $1,200. Now it's since dropped back down to just over $900. And it had a nice little dip the other day on the announcement of the new convertible note deal. So what's going to be the impact of this new debt offering and how is it going to affect the stock? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you my opinion. MicroStrategy have essentially committed themselves completely and entirely to a future where Bitcoin is the dominant store of value in the world. I mean, they were clearly committed before this announcement, but this takes it to a whole other level. MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor is absolutely convinced of a Bitcoin future, and as such, he is doing everything within his power and the power of his company to accumulate as much Bitcoin as is humanly possible. In August of last year, they bought 21,454 Bitcoin as part of their new treasury reserve policy. In September then, they bought another 16,796 Bitcoin. This cost them a total of about $425 million, pretty much all of their entire $500 million treasury. In November then, as part of Q3 earnings, they bought another 2,574 Bitcoin. Then in December, we got the announcement that they were taking on 650 million of debt in the form of a new convertible note, and with that they bought another 29,646 Bitcoin. Then, as if that was not enough, during the dip in January they bought another 314 Bitcoin. Then in February, 295 Bitcoin. And now we see this new announcement, a total of $900 million with an additional 150 million depending on whether we get oversubscribed or not. And what are they going to do with this? Of course, buy more Bitcoin. Now just look at what the price of Bitcoin has done since they started buying back in August. Now we could argue all day of the level of correlation here, but I've no doubt Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy have played a role in what we're seeing now, which is mass scale corporate adoption of Bitcoin. Of course, the past doesn't predict the future, but if you look at these results, I mean, over 2 billion in shareholder value created in just 6 months. It's just astounding. You really can knock MicroStrategy for going again to the debt market. I mean, at the end of the day, they're taking on a liability that's likely going to be deflated away over time, and they're buying an asset that's appreciating at a rate of about 200% a year. The latest announcement was met with a little bit of uncertainty, to no surprise, and we saw the stock drop roughly 8 or 9% from about $1,000 to just over $900. Now, if you want to know what I did, well, I actually bought the dip. And the funny thing is, within about an hour, I was back in the green because the Bitcoin price had shot up to $52,000, which of course meant MicroStrategy stock was up again on the day. Now, as I mentioned, the amazing thing about this new debt offering is the fact that it's a 0% coupon rate. So MicroStrategy won't even pay pennies for the servicing cost of this debt. Personally, I think this is amazing. And hell, if I could get loans with those types of terms and conditions, I'd be loading up as well. Sadly, I can't, but hey, at least I can buy MicroStrategy stock and I can capitalize on their ability to get loans. at such a stupid, ridiculous low rate. Bitcoin skeptics, of course, think this is absolute madness and that Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy are putting themselves at huge risk going into the future. And you know what? I do agree that this is pretty wild. And of course, if the price of Bitcoin crashes to some catastrophic level, this really is doomsday for MicroStrategy in terms of shareholder value creation. It will take the company decades to recover, if they ever will. However, if, like me, you believe that Bitcoin is the future, then MicroStrategy are going to benefit from a first mover advantage, which is going to be insurmountable. I mean, for just $425 million back in August and September, they bought 38,000 Bitcoin. If we go back to when Tesla announced their purchase of 1.5 billion, over 3 times the amount of money put in, I would estimate that they probably only got a similar amount of Bitcoins. So if we project out then to companies that wait till towards the end of this year to buy, or even wait for another 2 to 3 years, I'm fairly confident that they're going to end up paying an awful lot more to acquire a much smaller amount of Bitcoin than what MicroStrategy did. If Bitcoin becomes what MicroStrategy believe it will, well then owning Bitcoin or MicroStrategy stock really is a ticket to freedom in the future. When we look at what's playing out in the debt markets for Bitcoin, you can essentially loan out your Bitcoin and earn a hefty premium on that. So with the amount of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy are collecting at the moment, this isn't some lead weight asset that's not going to produce an income. This can potentially produce them a huge amount of income, far more than what their legacy software business would have ever produced them in free cash flow in a year. On top of that, you have an asset that's appreciating at 200% a year. This really does have the potential to be something incredible in terms of a future business. In terms of the stock, I suspect it's going to be a really, really interesting year. And when I first covered it back in November, I said that I expect this stock to do a 5x within a year and a 10x within 2 to 3 years. Well, considering now what they've done when it comes to actually going to the debt markets and taking on this second convertible note, I'd really have to change my targets to probably a 10x within this year alone. With the latest debt offering, and assuming that they can act fast, I could see them increasing their total Bitcoin holdings by another like 16 to 18,000. That's going to bring their total holdings up to a whopping 90,000 Bitcoins. So if Bitcoin hits 100,000, which I suspect it will, their total holding value of Bitcoin is going to be worth over $9 billion US dollars. That's roughly what the market cap of the company is trading for today. So it's fair to say that the market is pricing in quite a bit of growth for their Bitcoin holdings over the next couple of years. Long term though, I would expect that their Bitcoin holdings could reach a value of easily 20 to 30 billion. So if you're massively bullish on Bitcoin, take that 20 to 30 billion number, work out what they would get per year if they were able to earn just 5% interest on that total value, and then do a future projection with a growth rate of 50 to 100%, depending on what you think the future growth from Bitcoin will be after those prices. The kind of business valuation numbers you will come to will be extreme. Now, of course, the risk is that that doesn't play out and that Bitcoin doesn't grow to what I suspect it will. But if you're a Bitcoin bull, that's the kind of numbers you're going to be running. At this stage, MicroStrategy have become a Bitcoin company. After this most recent debt issuance and their next round of Bitcoin buying, their legacy software business is essentially going to be almost redundant when it comes to actually looking at this business case overall. The only value really it's providing me as a shareholder that I can see is it's providing them the ability to get debt at such a cheap rate because it's their means for repaying it. That in itself is hugely valuable. But when we look at the actual price of that business versus the potential future price of the Bitcoin holdings, it really becomes redundant. This truly is an incredible case study. Some of the questions you should be asking yourself as an investor is, number one, should you be buying MicroStrategy stock or should you buy Bitcoin? And how do you suspect the stock price will correlate with the price of Bitcoin going forward? Well, to the first question, I would say that if you don't own any Bitcoin yet, that should be your first priority because you're buying the underlying asset that's going to ultimately drive the share price of MicroStrategy anyway, but you're buying it without any counterparty risk, meaning that you are the sole owner and custody of that asset and you're not relying on MicroStrategy to be a custodian. You're also not going to be under all the other risks that a business faces in general. It's simply you and your Bitcoin holdings, and you get to enjoy whatever upside comes out of the Bitcoin price. On the other hand though, if you're looking for a quick way of getting Bitcoin exposure to your pension or to your stock portfolio, then MicroStrategy is one of the ways you can do that. I'm not saying it's the best way, but it is a good way. When it comes to actually buying companies, there's no other company with this percentage of Bitcoin as a percentage of their overall market cap. Your only other alternative really is to buy something like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which does come with a premium as well. In terms of the second question, which is how is this stock going to correlate with the price of Bitcoin, I suspect it's probably going to outperform in the short term because of the fact that they're taking on so much debt to buy Bitcoin. They're essentially leveraging themselves to buy more Bitcoin, so the returns should theoretically be outsized. In addition to that, we do see it trade at quite a premium to Bitcoin. And as I said, looking at the market cap right now, which is roughly 9 billion, it's already pricing in quite a bit of growth in terms of the price of Bitcoin. I suspect it's pricing in a Bitcoin price of near to kind of 70,000 US dollars than the current price of 50. But hey, I'm not here to give you facts and figures. I'm here just to give you a quick overview of my thoughts on the latest debt offering. Ultimately, you're going to have to do your own numbers and make your own decisions. I do get lots of people asking me in the comments, is it too late to buy? What should I do? Nobody can answer those questions for you, and I'm definitely not here to do that. So guys, to close this video, let's just celebrate by having a look at the price of Bitcoin. $51,780 at the time of recording this. It's been an absolutely monumental couple of months. And it's been fantastic if you've been a Bitcoin holder. Anyway, I hope you got some value from this video. If you did, then please show me some support by smashing that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.